Welcome into season 2, believe that or not, season 2 of Short Shifts, the North American Hockey League official podcast. Welcome into episode 1 of this year, the 2023-24 season. Brandon Hofstra here, joined with Vinnie Paracelli. Vinnie, obviously a long week, just wrapped up, as you can tell. Got the showcase flu, we'll call it. Running around, shaking hands, doing everything that we're doing out there, running around like crazy people, but just a heck of a time. And we'll obviously get into it, but first off, what's going on with you in your world? Obviously, you just got back as well.
Yeah, we're back. They didn't cancel us. We're back for season 2. We're not boring, apparently, according to some people. And like you said, we were working like madmen last week. I think I tallied up over the course of I worked more in like one day, like an amount of hours than I got sleep in like the combined nights I was there. It just felt like every night I was up to probably like 1 o'clock, maybe 2, getting up at 5:36, like just getting after it. I mean, because we had the youth guys there. We had the NA games all day, every day that, we'll talk about in a minute, but, great action all the way up into those USA games, which were packed. I mean, we say it every year about how, like, there's so many people at the building and this and that. But I think this year was the most people I've ever seen fit in that arena. And thank God the fire marshal did not come in.
Yeah, it was packed. It was Pat, as well as Pat Maroon was there hanging out. NAHL alumni. Shout out Pat. Might try to get him on the podcast. That's in the works. But yeah, great event like always. I think a big thing for me. Well, I guess we could just kind of talk about like our takeaways from it. But seeing a team go undefeated, obviously seeing the 17 squad's always fun. Watching us beat down on them is a little more fun. A lot of teams picking up their first wins in franchise history on the road in Blaine. We saw some new coaches pick up their first wins as well, which is always super cool. We saw Rats with Chippewa, Colton St. Clair get his first win, obviously with the Minnesota Wilderness. But like I said, we saw a lot of these new franchises as well getting wins on the road as well. But I think a big thing for me too, the takeaway is just kind of catching up with everybody. We talk to these guys like we're doing now over the internet for the entire summer. We spend time with them early in the summer while we were in Nashville, kind of just running into each other as much as we could, but crazy out there too with what was going on. But I think just catching up with people. There's people, scouts and coaches and agents and you name it, that you don't get to see on on a monthly or a weekly or even like a yearly basis. So it's pretty cool to have everybody under one roof. Probably why I'm got the sniffles here, just running around touching railings and shaking hands and just running around like crazy. So yeah, so that's my big takeaway, I think, from that. And obviously the hockey, you can't beat it. What we have per day, 15, 14 games, 16 games a day, something like that, just in the NA. But wild time, fun time. I'm ready for the next one, the next big event coming up.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it really good there, was that we, like you said, we talked to everybody in the summer. We met up with them in Nashville, and that was only like, what, 24, 48 hours? We weren't there long.
Yeah.
Got a lot done in that time, it felt like. But then seeing them, like, basically for a whole week, every day, the hockey family's a small one. It's a big one, but it's small at the same time. We our boy Rath, like you mentioned, we've known him for a couple years now. Seeing him get an opportunity in the NHL, getting that first dub, like you said, is fun to see. Meeting some of the new coaches like Francois and I'm blanking on some names here because there's just so many people, but I've known Cam for a few years when he was in the NA3. I know
Steve Haddon.
Steve, there you go. That's the name I was thinking of.
That's
Steve, like all these people that we're running into for really kind of, I mean, at least in the case of Francois and Steve, we met him in Nashville, and then you don't see him for months. You see him over the internet. That's not really the same, but then you kind of see him every day, 4 straight days. Oh, hey, how's it going? Things are going good. Things are going not so good. The hockey's always going to be phenomenal, especially early in the year. A lot of teams, their first games, are still kind of figuring out how to play with one another. But those scouts, I mean, I know we already had a couple of Division I commitments come out from the event. The scouts are there; they're ready to go. They're making their lists, and you know what? One way or another, us how we did it over the summer, you kind of just figure it out and you go and you get things done. You make things happen.
Yeah, it was a heck of an event. I think it might have been a record for the amount of ticket sales it was this year. It was jam-packed everywhere you went, like the entire building. You couldn't move, you couldn't breathe. Physically can't breathe or move right now. But no, I think we said it and nailed the head or hit the hammer on the head enough times there. It's just been an amazing showcase. I guess we'll just kind of dive into the hockey unless there's anything else you kind of wanted to add on from the 23
No,
showcase.
no, I was gonna say, like you said, a lot of people, a lot of scouts. The hockey was really good, and we're about to get into it. So break it down for me.
All right, we'll jump kind of to the end results, if you will, divisionally of the records at the 2023 NAHL Showcase. The South Division went 19-12-2, the East Division 20-14-2, Central Division 12-2-0, and Midwest. A little tough day. I don't believe a Midwest team won a game the entire day one at the Showcase. They end up going though 12-15-5. East Division, you can thank the Northeast Generals going 4-0 on the road. They were playing some elite hockey out there in Blaine, Minnesota. South, you got Amarillo, who was not playing boring hockey. She's coming out to play with RA as their new head coach. Central Division went 500 on the weekend, and Midwest just a little under 500, and snuck out some wins throughout the thing. But we'll get into the actual standings here, but just based on just a generality, I guess, if you will, the entire division just kind of broken down like that. Vinny, anything that stood out to you from a team or two or three from each division?
Yeah, like you said, the Gens went 4-0, the only team in the entire event to go 4-0, which is kind of shocking given that we had 32 teams here. You would imagine at least, maybe 2 or 3 teams to have an undefeated week. And you know what? That's going to be key for a lot of teams, as we saw last year with the playoff chases. All these games matter. And we'll get into the standings, as you said, in just a minute, but it's never too early to look at the standings. We saw how, Jersey went 0-4 a year ago, and then, November came, December, and then flipped the switch, and they got hot, made the playoffs. So I thought the thing that stood out to me, which you mentioned that Midwest note about them going winless the one day, which is, I don't think that's ever happened before. I doubt that'll ever happen again. That's how hard it is to do that, because you got a lot of good teams in that division. Janesville came into the event 2-0. They only went 1-3 at the event. Anchorage, I thought, looked pretty good. They went 2-2 at the event. They won their first game before them, but really, typically you kind of see the South and Central kind of get the headlines when it comes to, I don't want to say domination, but we know at TPT they fare a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But this one was probably the most, the event with the most parity that I've seen in a while. You really just kind of, you'd see one team win one night, and then that team's pretty good. And then the next night, they'd get spanked, and you're like, oh, maybe they're not that good. And then they'll win the following night, and you're like, right. It's early in the season. Teams are still trying to figure it out. I think you saw Bismarck and North Iowa in the Central win their first game, drop their next 3. You saw New Hampshire drop their first 2. Coach Cam got them together. They won their next 2. Same with the Nordiques, losing their first 2, then finishing up strong. So, I think what you're going to see, especially in the next couple weeks, teams still trying to figure it out. And then once we get to that, Halloween part of the year, that's when I think you'll see teams really try to, put it all together. You'll see the streaks start to come out. You'll see who's going to separate themselves in the standings.
Right. I agree. Another little note, I guess, to kind of throw in there about the divisions. I believe most of the Midwest, granted the Alaska team is what I'm trying to get at, were already in Minnesota before this event, correct? So you can't really throw in the bus legs, the travel legs into that, but maybe just, I don't know. It's just crazy that all of them lost on day one.
Yeah, Fairbanks, they got swept by Janesville last week. Anchorage and Kenai each won their single game beforehand. So, there's no excuse. Like you said, there's no plane legs, there's no bus legs, there's nothing like that. Everyone was all in the same. We know Odessa was there for a week or 2, and they went 1-2-1 at the event. So
El Paso played in Colorado on the drive up, which is about 1,000 hours from El Paso to Minnesota.
And we talked with Joe too before, and he was not happy about their schedule. And here they are, 2 weeks in the season, they're 4-1. So, and granted, they kind of had a little bit of a break per se, playing the national team. Obviously, that not counting toward the standings, and then having Saturday off. So, a little break for them. But they go 1-1 in their 2 games. They finish 4-1 on this 2-week road trip. I believe they still have some more road games coming up this weekend. Let me take a look real quick. Yeah, they're in Corpus Christi this weekend. So we're going to go from El Paso to Colorado to Minneapolis. We're going to go. We'll take 35 pretty much all the way down. Yeah, I know it splits off somewhere, but then you're in Corpus Christi, so a lot of travel for those guys. And here's the thing, though: even if you could take one out of two this weekend, right? I mean, I'm looking.
Mhm.
I'm going to pull up El Paso's schedule real quick here. You take away all right. So after this week, they're off for a week, and then they open up at home. You get through this week 1-1, and you could say you're 5-2 with the road trip that they've had. I mean, that's a
That's
pretty
insane.
good start. If you're Joe Coombs, you got to be extremely happy with that result.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Like living half the season so far on a bus or on the road, and then coming out with a record like that is pretty outstanding if it happens. Which, yeah, I feel like he's got a complete 180 of a team from last season where he's got these guys dialed in.
When they 5 games so far, 14 goals, 11 goals against. I mean, Joe Coombs in that South Division, they're always going to play that defensive style. It's not going to be running guns. They're playing to their identity, and we'll see kind of how things progress here into this weekend as they go play Corpus Christi. I know those two teams both struggled last year, so we'll see if one team is going to make that jump and move back into the playoff chase, so to speak.
Right. Well, let's jump over now to our first standings update of the season. Again, episode 1. We got to do that, obviously.
It's never too early to look at the standings. Never.
It's
Never
never
too early.
no. It's fun. We'll jump. Obviously, we'll start in the Central Division. Austin Bruins with the first place tie, a 3-1 record. Minot as well with that tie, 3-1. Aberdeen third place, 2-2. St. Cloud 2-2. Bismarck fifth place with a 1-3 record, and North Iowa with a 1-3 record as well. So it's pretty tight up top, but like we said, that's after week 1 showcase week where it's back to back games. But it'll be interesting now to for all these teams to be back in their divisions where they belong, playing against each other, and just kind of seeing who's gonna sink, who's gonna swim.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like you mentioned, it's 4 games in 4 days, but guys, and for the Central Division especially, these were all their first games. So there
Right.
was, I mean, yeah, you had a couple preseason games here and there, but I mean, realistically, you're still playing with new guys. You're still trying to gel together, and we know just from being around here long enough, Bismarck just always seems to struggle with the showcase.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at one point we'll have Lane Sedavian. He could try to explain it. He does. I don't think he has an answer. All the times I've talked to him about it, like they are not good in Blaine. I don't know what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And I don't know if that suits well because if they do well in the regular season, they're just going to come back to Blaine for the Robertson Cup. So I mean, he's got to figure
Right.
that out. Something about Blaine,
Right.
he's got to figure out. And
The Blaine
if the
curse.
Bobcats want to win the Robertson Cup, but it's early. You never want to fall too far behind, but early, you get a sweep this weekend, everything's right with the world.
Yeah, 100%. Let's jump over now to the East Division. Speaking of the East, granted, most teams in the East have played 6 games, and if you take a look at the NAHL top scores, the top 11 scores are all from the East Division. And if you go down to the 15, what is it? 14 of the 15 top scorers in the league right now all belong in the East Division. So I don't want to say that's because they have 2 more games, possibly, or they're just putting the puck in the back of the net more than a lot of other divisions right now. But East Division, let's take a look at it. Leading is the Northeast Generals with a 5-1 record. Second place is the Maine Nordiques, who are 4-1. Maryland Black Bears 4-2 on the year. Behind them at 4th place is the Rochester Junior Americans, a 3-2 0-1 record. Johnstown 3-3, New Jersey 3-3, Philly 3-3, New Hampshire 2-2, and Danbury 1-4-1-0 on the season. So Northeast, like we said, came out 4-game win streak. Their first game, I'm not entirely sure who they played. I feel like you could find that a little
split
quicker.
with Maine. They split with Maine.
Okay. So good stuff from the East.
I'm looking at those top scores, like you mentioned. Yeah, a lot of guys from the East Division in there. It has to be something to do with playing extra games. But if you're 6th in Jen or so with a goal and 12 helpers and 13 points through 6 games, that's pretty good. You got Massimo Gentili with 12 points of his own. Matteo DeCipio with 11 points. I mean,
wait. Can you go back to those last 2 names and say them with your Italian accent because you're Italian?
Well, you got Massimo.
You butchered those names and you're Italian.
No, Massimo. I didn't butcher nothing there. I had to read them and make sure.
You got to get the thing going.
All right, so you got hold on. Let me take a second. Hold on.
Dial it in.
So you got Massimo Gentili and
There
Matteo
you
Di
go.
Scipio, making some moves for the Americans. I mean, are they Italian or are they American? I don't know. But 12 points, 12 and 11 points respectively through the first 6 games. 5 goals, 7 assists for Massimo, 4 goals, 7 assists for Matteo. That's no joke. That's putting the puck in the net. It's finding success early on in the season. And you know what? We've seen a lot of guys. We saw Kristaps. I can't remember his last name, but he was a player from Latvia for Amarillo, scored like 12 goals in the showcase a year or two ago. And you get that hot start, that Division One team finds you early, and then you just continue that, strong, consistent play. That's going to easily end up in Division One commitments for that team, and especially for a brand new team. I mean, that's a heck of a way to start a campaign if you get those two guys committed right off the hop.
Right. It'd be interesting to kind of look at last year's after the showcase and kind of see if who was it from Maryland last year that was leading the league in scoring almost the whole year.
Christian Catalano was up there. Hunter Jones, I think, had I want to say 13 points, but I know they had a couple games for the showcase, but he had a good showcase as well.
Yeah, just be kind of interesting,
to see if that those guys. But right. Yeah, then you those guys, and they kind of stand out to you the rest of the year. So I mean, you have a good showcase. It doesn't just help you with the scouts; it helps you with us too, because that way, all of a sudden you're on the radar, and we know those names here and there. And I'm not butchering them like you said I do.
Let's see, 32 times 26 man roster. So yeah, 832 players to worry about, and if you stick out of that.
That was some really good math. Hopefully you had a calculator there next to you. Okay, I was making sure. I was like, you're a smart guy. You ain't that smart. Let's be real.
I was a math major. Anyways, whatever. All right, let's jump into the Midwest side of things. Janesville, Anchorage tied for the first place spot. Janesville, is 3-1-2-0. Anchorage 3-1-1-0. So maybe not tied for the first place spot. My apologies. Third place is the Kenai River Brown Bears, 3-2 record. Wisconsin Wendigo at 4-3-1. Chippewa 2-3 on the season. Fairbanks at sixth place with a 1-4-0 record. Wilderness a 1-3-1-0 record. And then Springfield with an 0-4 record to top down the bottom of the Midwest Division. So again, it's just so tight to tell, but a good division here. I mean, all of the Alaska teams are on the road in Wisconsin and Minnesota and Illinois this week, I believe, right, Vinnie?
Yep, Kenai's at Springfield. Yep.
Yeah, so there'll be some ground to make up and some heavyweight Midwest Division battles coming up this weekend.
Yeah, Janesville, I don't say they impressed me, but I know we talked to Joe Dibble back in August, and he said how young they were last year and how they're a lot older now, and they dealt with a lot of injuries last year, which gave those younger guys a lot more playing time than maybe they expected last year. So I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out. Obviously, 3 wins, 2 overtime losses, so five games with points out of a possible 6 games. That's obviously a good start for Janesville. Sweeping Fairbanks always feels good. I know Fairbanks didn't make the playoffs last year, but Fairbanks perennially has been one of the top teams in the league. So getting an opening weekend sweep at home always feels good. And then we've also got Fairbanks struggling out the gate. They dropped their first 5, won their last game of the showcase to get into the win column. Ryan Theros with his first win as a coach in the NA. So obviously big moment for him. But Fairbanks, these Alaska teams, it's always interesting to see what they do before they go back to Alaska. I know historically Fairbanks has always been kind of, down before going to Alaska. Then that great home ice advantage with the Big Dipper always kicks in. Kenai usually has a good start, and then they kind of fade as they go to Alaska. Obviously, that didn't happen last year. And then we've got Anchorage, who is year 3. So we don't really know what their deal is yet. We haven't developed a pattern yet with those guys, but it'll be interesting to see. I know October, I don't want to say all the teams have their home openers. Then teams start traveling to Alaska. Then you're on the road for 2 weeks, getting that team bonding going. Well, I would imagine it's different going to Alaska in October than in December or January. Just something about it, I feel like just has to feel like, oh man, I'm going to go in this place that's, 0 degrees, high wind.
Right.
Or if I'm going in October where it's, maybe 50s, 40s, it's not that bad, man. Maybe that plays a role. I'm not sure. I've never made that trip to Alaska. Mark, if you're listening, maybe you could send me up one time soon.
Side note, we have 9 minutes left on this one.
Okay. I
All
mean,
right, cool.
we could start a new one, right?
Yeah, we'll just hammer out the South real quick.
All right.
All right. All right, we'll move over to the South Division. El Paso leads with a 4-1 record. Colorado second place, 3-3. Amarillo 3-1 record. They are above Lone Star with a 3-3 record. Oklahoma fifth place, 3-1. Shreveport 3-1. Seventh place, New Mexico 2-1-1. Odessa at eighth place with a 1-2 record. Pardon me, a 1-2-0-1 record, and Corpus a 1-3 record on the season. So take a look there. Something that's kind of sticking out to me of Amarillo, whose head coach is Ryan Anderson, above the Lone Star Brahmas, where he coached for a long time under Dan Wildfong. So maybe a little bit of a Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi thing, where the master has taught the Padawan, and now they're fighting things out. But I don't know if you get that reference. If you ever watch Star Wars with him,
No,
not sure what you do in your free time.
I've watched Star. I'm not that into it, but I've seen. I know what you're referring to.
Yes. So it'd be fun to watch those two. And we've obviously got the RA Wildfong bowl game marked on our calendar somewhere. But talk about the South.
Well, we kind of touched on Joe Coombs and the Rhinos coming through their heck of a road trip, 4-1 so far. Colorado, dropping 3 at home, sometimes can be a bit of a put down. You're all excited. You got the opener, and then the way they lost 2 of those games at least was in the final minute. Blowing a lead or just allowing a late goal. But then you come back to the showcase and you go 3-1.
Right.
So definitely a big turnaround for them. I would imagine if I'm a Grit fan, I'm pretty happy. Now I just want to see those wins come back into home ice because they had a heck of a crowd Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Great looking production up there by the staff up there. It looks really good. We need to take care of that netting. I know it's probably a city-owned building. We got to take care of that netting. That's just my personal take on the matter. But
Levi's
Oklahoma,
listening in.
he might be. Yeah, he probably is. He probably is.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, the defending champs, 3-1, no big deal. Shreveport, always there with Soupy at the helm, 3-1. New Mexico, man, did they look good against the USA team in the second period? In the first period, not so much, but that second period, 6 goals. They go on to win that game. I believe it was 7-3 was the final.
Yep.
They looked pretty dang good. So it'll be interesting to see, El Paso and Colorado, I don't want to call them outliers, but obviously, El Paso didn't make the playoffs last year. Colorado, brand new team. How much when they get into the South Division play, which starts this weekend, how much will those teams still fare the same way against the Lone Stars, the Oklahomas, the Shreveports, and now I guess we got to put in the New Mexicos of the world and the Amarillos as well. Those teams that made the playoffs last year, and it'll be interesting to watch for sure.
All right, so we maybe ruffled a few feathers, and by we I mostly mean Vinnie with a word he said when referring to a team last year, which that word was
boring,
and the team was
Lone Star. I think about that for a second.
And who always gave it to you?
Oh, RA was my guy. He's always constantly giving to me. And I asked him straight up at the showcase, was he going to bring the boring to Amarillo? And he said, absolutely, because boring wins. So now we have 2 boring teams in the NHL. They haven't been too boring yet, though.
Same division.
Yeah, they don't give up 20 goals. Yeah, can you imagine an Amarillo Lone Star game where they're just doing the exact same thing? And the final scores. Can you imagine a playoff series where every game is 1-0 and every game goes to 3 overtimes? I can imagine because of the way those 2 coach. I don't think it's gonna be fun at all to watch, but it'd be entertaining maybe if there's like a hit or 2 here and there.
The bench antics would be fun.
The bench antics would be outstanding because now Ryan can really let loose because now as the head coach, he gets a little more leeway with the officials.
Right.
But Brandon, tell the folks at home why we're gonna have feathers again.
So we're going to do a little segment that we kind of did last year around this time. I think we did it after the 3HL showcase. Our top 3 favorite and bottom 3 not so favorite jerseys from the 2023 NAHL showcase.
I'm so ready
hard
for this.
feelings.
Nothing personal.
Just our opinions.
Yep.
Nothing personal. Unlike Coach Prime always says, this is personal. This is not personal.
This is not.
Anyways.
Let's start with the best because I think some of them are kind of obvious. We have one of them that's the same.
True. All right. Let's start at our number 3. You can go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think it's the same one as yours because I can see your notes here. The
Right.
Rochester Junior Americans, the white ones.
Clutch.
And it's weird too because like my favorite team is the Sabres. The Rochester Americans AHL team is the farm team, and they pretty much have the exact same uniforms, but they're just so clean. They're so clean, and they have it's a nice touch with the blue helmet.
Yep.
The blue pants. It's a very clean look. It looks good. The red, white, and blue.
Yep.
Not too much. And they showed them off at the home opener. No, did they wear blue that night? I don't remember this one, but I saw the whites in person this week. They are gorgeous. Top 3 for sure.
I think the blue one is my favorite. Kind of gives me a Toronto Maple Leafs kind of all blue vibe. I was looking at their Twitter as well. Did you know they have a red one?
The
red
junior
jersey.
Team does.
Correct.
Okay. We didn't see that.
We didn't see that in person.
But okay.
Nope. So I'll be on the lookout for that one.
Okay.
That one's going to be mean looking. Maybe they have some red breezers. I don't really know, but either or, it's pretty legit. Pretty legit. So yeah, number 3, we can both. We're both agreeing on that one. Number 2, I'm going to go with this one. The New Jersey Titans striped Detroit style reverse retro 2023 or 2022-23 reverse retro jersey. I thought they were cool. I thought that it was something different. I thought they did it right. We saw some striped jerseys from last year where it more looked like something you'd see in like a movie about people in jail or like something like that. Not a fan of those. I'm not going to name the team. But I think these ones are cool. I think New Jersey fit perfectly right across. They won wearing them. Then they went to their tan ones, which those were kind of cool too. But I think the striped up Jersey Jays were nice.
Yeah, those were my top 5 for sure. That almost made my list here. I will be honest though, the very first time I saw them, I go, "Ew, what is that? That's gross. That's not good." And then the more I got kind of somewhere up close, I was like, "Okay, no, those are pretty sweet." But I did have one suggestion for the coaching staff. I think it was before that first game. I should just put jersey.
Right.
Similar to the Devils, just put jersey. Like, why not? That would have been a little more, I think, adding the newness, the swag per se to an iconic look that they had.
Right, I agree.
So that's a top one for me. I'm gonna throw you off with this one because I believe you have the strength in your bottom one. I am a big fan of the Bismarck whites. Hear me out. So Bismarck whites, you've got the kind of like tan black stripe around the middle. I'm always a fan of that because that just kind of looks good. It's the old Canadians look. With the bobcat in the front, good job there. But the top is striped. It has like white jersey, but like black and tan stripes on the shoulders. And given that they're the Cats, I think that fits really well. If you look at their logo, it's got stripes on it. The jersey itself has stripes on it. So I'm a big fan of that. I think the combination of the black, the tan, and the white look good. And I think that's my number 2 because historically they try a lot with the stripes and a lot of times it doesn't work. So maybe I just like it so much more than usual. I'm like overvaluing it. Maybe I think with the stripes, your Cat, it works. It works. I like it.
Fair. All right. Number 1. This one's kind of a double for me. It's going to be both their home and away jersey that they wore at the showcase. I'm going with the Corpus Christi Ice Rays. They're a throwback to when they had a professional team in Corpus. It's got a little bit of neon blue, some teal in there. They got the logo. The all white one was mean looking. Then I was talking to their coaching staff before the game. They said, "Wait till tomorrow when you see the black ones. You got to tell us which one you like better." It's a toss up. If I had to own one, toss it my way. I would take the black one and probably a medium, give or take 52. I believe it might be the jersey size, but that's my number one.
Between those two, I think I go white. I don't know why whites just look cleaner sometimes, but
yeah,
I also have another white in my top 3, and I'm going to go Shreveport.
Okay,
and I'm going to explain why that they've made both my lists here shortly. Claws up, yep.
But so is it the claw one, the white one?
It's the white one for sure, 100% the white one. So you've got it's like thin stripes around the middle because I just like that look. But then you have like a circular crest with the one claw in the middle. It's not the giant whole mud bug with a hockey stick like in the full-on logo. And there's a little bit of purple in there, but mostly like that teal color, a little bit of red in the crest. I think that one is I think that's tops in the league. I really think. See, Shreveport goes either way. They're either really bad or they're really good, or they're just kind of like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna call it what it is. The 318 jerseys they had last year. Look, I get it. You're from Shreveport. You're proud of your hometown area, but ain't nobody know what the 318 is.
No.
Ain't nobody know what the 318
I
is.
saw a
Anyone
kid with a
outside of
shirt that
Shreveport.
said the 318 on it, and now I had no clue. Now that you said that, that makes sense. I was like, oh, it must be. I don't even know. And so yeah,
Well, like
now they clear that up.
I mean, like area codes are only special to the city that they're from. Like I love the 716. I get it, but like outside of like your hometown area code, do you know a single area code? Like, do you know, like, does that area code tell you a city outside of maybe 212, which is New York City? Like the
No, I
city,
feel like
city.
maybe like a zip code.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
Like,
about it. Yeah,
area codes ain't
90210
good.
Beverly Hills. I just knew that.
Like, like area codes ain't good on jerseys. They're just not.
No, no.
Especially like now, if you wear them at home, that's one thing. But if you wear them on the road, like, I feel like you got to say like where you're from. The 318 doesn't tell me. I got to actually look it up.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So,
That's fair.
but they redeemed themselves with the whites this year. They look absolutely stunning, and that's my number one. And now I think that's a perfect transition to our bottom three. And this is really in no particular order, but the Shreveport Blacks are my bottom three. They go way too hard. They go way too hard on the purple. I wish we could probably pop one up on the screen.
Yeah,
I
I'll
know
put
Christian's got a
pictures
bunch
up.
of photos from the weekend, but like it's just the entire Mudbug logo in purple on black, and it's just so in your face. It looks blue. The picture I looked up right before we came on, it 100% looks blue. In person, it's 100% purple, but it looks blue. So not great there. You can give your next one before I go on my next team.
All right. Well, one of your top ones is one of my bottom ones, Bismarck. I thought there's way too much going on. I don't know. That's just all I'm gonna say. I just thought there was way too much going on it. I think you could have gone one or two ways with it. I suppose you could either because what it looked like to me was the Florida Panthers logo or jersey because they have the crest, then they have the cat in the middle, and then the line across Florida Panthers. But then with this mayhem going on up here, that's what turned me off.
I just explained it to you though. I explained it to you though. It's stripes, they're cat.
I get it. I get it. You're artsy, whatever. So I'm looking at
it. You're more of a dog guy, clearly.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, R.I.P. Jake the cat. Anyways, yeah, that's a cat hissing. I just not a fan of it.
All right, I'll give you my number two, and I hate to say this because the guy that is the coach of that team is one of the more hilarious people I've met in a while. He's very quick-witted. I don't know if he designs the jerseys or not. Brian Erickson. Brian Erickson, my guy. One of my favorite coaches in the league. What is this obsession?
Brian, I'm not a part of what he's going to say, by the way.
What is the obsession with writing the word generals across? Like, I feel like that's just been a thing the last couple years where they just like they had like the basketball style jersey where it just said like Northeast and like they had the number underneath it.
Oh yeah.
Like the one year. I know last year they went more with the kind of like the home whites they had were just the all white general logo, but just writing generals across the front.
That's pretty
just
generic.
Seems just super generic and like there's no creativity to it. At least like if you're gonna do that, maybe like put the general head in there or just put it diagonal. I mean I know the Rangers are nearby, so maybe that's not a good thing with Boston fans in the area. I don't know, but
right.
Just to put it just in straight across in a very generic font is not fun. Let's fight for the creativity a little bit. And that's going to lead to my third one, but I'll let you do your second first.
All right. Who's my second? I put Kenai on there. I didn't. Okay. It's not that I didn't like them. I thought they were super cool until I got up close, and then it was a swing that was just going to go out of the park, and then an absolute miss. So it's a cool text, says Kenai River, and then they have to plop the outline of the entire state of Alaska on there, which I thought killed the whole thing, in my opinion. I thought
Kenai River, Alaska. It's like telling you what it is.
Never would have guessed. So
I'm
just
guessing. I don't know.
right, yeah, no, I thought the text was really cool. I thought it looked super cool, just the whole jersey itself. And I got up close. I was like, no, no. So not that I dislike them, but they're going in my bottom bin for that reason.
I
You
have
could
a
have put the
question.
logo for the state on the shoulder.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I have a question, and I wasn't at the showcase last year, but obviously I saw. But I mean, right now all the showcases are bunting together. When was the last time the Kenai River Brown Bears had a brown jersey?
I don't know.
Like all brown? Because I feel like the last couple years it's been black or
Right.
like gray.
Maybe they should take something out of your cat notes and do bear hair.
Bears are. I mean, if you're the Kenai River Brown, like the color of the team is in your name. You're the Brown Bears, and you don't wear brown.
And you're wearing black jerseys.
Wearing black jerseys. Like 1 year you want to mix it up, sure, whatever. But like I feel like it's been a while now since they've had actual full on brown dark jerseys.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I agree.
Okay, talk about creativity. How the Northeast Generals Blues don't do it for me. And this isn't a shot. I don't want to take a shot at a new team because they're new. They're getting things going. But can we stop with these teams just replicating the Vegas look? I'm sorry. And I know their colors are like made for it, so like it fits perfectly. And they could probably just go to like the Vegas online store, a blank Vegas jersey, like no shield or shielded helmet on the front and nothing on the back, and that's your jersey. But like, what are we doing? Bismarck did this years ago, the first year. Okay, it was cool. They had the grays. Like, all right, great. But like Vegas has been in the league 6 years now. They won a cup. As much as I hate to say that as a fan of a team that's never won a cup and been around 50 plus years.
I'll cry about it.
But my point is, we get it though. Like the Vegas look is kind of cool, but it's played out. Everyone that is like even close to that color scheme does it. Now I will say the blacks are kind of sweet. They didn't go the full route of like the dark grays that Vegas has. They went full on black, which is different. So like I said, not as bad, and they're kind of sweet when you see them in person. But the whites are just like, I've seen this jersey 100 times. Please just do something different.
I mean, if we want to say do something different, we got about 15 teams that have never changed the way it is. It's like,
well, and I'll mention
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
My bottom one, I don't know. I don't know if I really even. I think I have two. I think I just threw that last one in there just for space sake. But no offense, Scott. It's the Odessa one. It just says Odessa. It's got a purple line. It's got a red line. And it's a black jersey. It reminds me of these custom shoes my brother made back when he was in high school. Stay with me here. I was at Kansas State at the time, so he liked Kansas State. My sister was at Nebraska.
Okay.
So we all love Nebraska still. And then he wanted like a gray and black shoe. So he mixed in gray, black, purple, and red into these shoes, and it looked like a Play-Doh machine threw up onto his feet. So that just reminds me of my brother's dorky shoes that he had when he was in like freshman year of high school. So nothing against him. It just brings back a funny memory to me of some dumb shoes.
Yeah. So speaking of teams that have never changed in a while, I don't think this is my 7th year in the league. I don't think Lone Star is changing up once. Like the whites and the blacks are exactly the same. They've had it, but we need more of it. We need a purple. And we need a better purple than what they've had because they have like black numbers on the purple and you can barely even read it. We need a better purple. So Lone Star, if you're listening, I know Ryan Anderson's not there anymore. See, I don't know if he's going to be filling in Dan with all these tidbits we've been giving him. Lone Star needs new purples. Steel blacks are pretty good. I know you like the Wilderness blacks that they sported toward the end of last year, brought into this year. They changed the logo on it to the head. Well, sorry, black, dark gray. You know what I mean.
Yep.
I gotta check my list here. What other honorable mentions I had? Oh, I mean the Jersey Reds, obviously, like we mentioned. You know who I actually like? The New Hampshire Whites were pretty clean.
Yeah.
The Blues weren't bad, but the Whites were clean. I think I don't know how I feel about the Janesville Jets new color, that like lighter blue instead of the red. It definitely adds something, but I would like to see like a light blue jersey.
Right.
Like a third in that color, that'd be probably pretty sweet. Danbury added on. I believe they added orange. They actually have whites. I don't think Danbury ever had whites before. They've had black and orange. I don't know if they ever had whites. But the orange shoulders, those aren't bad. El Paso's always got that. I don't want to say classic because they've only been in the NA for a couple of years, but you just know what you're going to get with them. Mm-hmm. And I just like the orange and the black. It really pops. So that's a good one. But, you got some of these teams, like I mentioned with Lone Star, got to mix it up.
Yep.
Amarillo's somewhat kind of new, so they're still in that kind of grace period. Aberdeen has had like kind of the same idea of the logo for a while, but I feel like with black and red, there's only so much you could do.
Well, remember last year they had the fighting pheasant on there.
Yeah, they had Winger on. They had the mascot on there, so that was
different. I didn't know who that team was for like a week.
I didn't care for Austin's. I didn't like the all black on the sleeve, the side of the sleeve, not like the whole sleeve. Thought those were just meh. I liked it better when they had the shoulders last year. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I've seen, but like there's so many teams now.
Like
so many
32.
Teams. Like all 32 of them.
Fairbanks is classic. They're the same. Wisconsin.
See, Fairbanks is the one that doesn't have to change. When I think of Fairbanks, I think of the Montreal Canadiens. They've got their home whites, maroon shoulders, dog face in the front. Simple.
Yep.
The Maroons have the blue middle band that say Fairbanks across. It's just like because they won so often, especially back in like the early, the 2010s, they won 3 Robertson Cups in that time. Like you get to like do whatever you want when you win and you like have a classic look and you have this like classic feel to your team. You get to do whatever you want.
And it's not a common color that any other team in the league has.
No,
you have all these other oranges and reds and purples and whatever you want to throw out there, but there's no maroon.
I mean, it's just Minot and them, right?
I mean, I feel like the Maroons are different. Like Minot's is more of like I don't even know, like a.
Well, I was pretty sure that we talked to Ken from Minot. This is a couple years ago, but they equate the maroon, I think, to the they used to at least. I don't know if they still do. The Arizona Coyotes like red, like that dark.
Oh yeah,
the old look. Not so much now with the Kenya jerseys and all that stuff, but
yeah,
that kind of color. Anchorage stepped it up. They added more of that teal to their look. Like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Don't keep working at the who else had a good one? The Maine Blacks. I thought were pretty good.
I didn't.
Okay.
Where does that come from?
The black?
It's not in their logo.
It's fair.
I was kind of like dumbfounded by it. I was like, what the heck? Why are they like they're blue? Like their other ones are fine, but then like just a random black J with a teal and sort of powder blue, red and blue logo. I'm like,
They need to bring back the baby blues for sure. They used to have the baby blues. They were
the ones last year were sick. When they played USA with the Nords on it or whatever they had on there.
Yes,
remember those?
Yes,
those were sick.
They need to bring back the baby blues, and I was told the reason why they got rid of them is because they couldn't. I don't say never win in them, but they didn't win a lot when wearing the baby blues. So they just gassed them.
Yeah, new regime.
Let's come on, Skrlik. I know you're listening. Skrlik loves us, so like,
youngest coach ever in NAHL history to win a game.
That's a fun fact. I did not know that.
Congrats, Nicholas.
I guess at that point you don't have like assistants pop in. You're not no one has like an interim tag on him. It's usually like the head coach. That's like you said, a little older. Huh? There you go. Good job, Skrlik.
I saw that online. So we'll have to fact check, but I saw that on May Nordique's Twitter.
Well, I'm just going through the head coaches we've had, at least in my time. I can't think of anyone that would be as young as him.
Colton St. Clair.
Okay, that's probably the closest one. Yeah, he looks fairly young. He's probably close to our age, I feel like.
He is a 92.
Oh, so he's
30, he's 30 years old.
He is my age. Oh, he's 30, so he's yet to turn 31.
Correct. Okay,
so he's younger than me. So he's younger than us. All right,
and he's younger than Nick Skrlik. So that whole
No, wait, did we just break news? And then
hold on.
That's incredible.
Nick's a 94.
Okay. I was gonna say we just broke some news and then immediately disproved that whole fact. That'd be unreal. That's incredible. Okay, so a 94. So what, Nick? So what, 28, 29-ish?
29.
Okay, yeah.
How old's
God,
New Hampshire's coach? Because there's another one. He's a young guy. Cam.
Cam? Ooh. You looking that one up?
I like that we're doing the fact checking after a team already posted something.
Well, and Cam used to work for Maine though. So I mean they would know, I feel like,
they would
right?
know. All right, Cam's an 89. He's
Okay, so yeah, he's a little older.
34.
All right, so he's older. Okay.
You got us this time. They got us this time.
Well, hey, you know what? At least we checked him live on the air. No one can disprove it. I mean, now if you go back a couple years, maybe someone had it, but you know what? For now, youngest coach this year. We'll go with that for sure. Good job, Nick. Gosh, that was just a whirlwind of emotions there, honestly, because I really thought, like, I was gonna say, like, to not even like cut this part either, because I was gonna be like, if this is true, like, this is hilarious to me.
Right.
All right, Brandon. Let's just get to this weekend's games real quick, and then we'll head out.
All right. You want Friday?
This week we got a handful of teams. Yeah, give me Friday.
You got Friday. All right, I'll do Friday. All right, we got Odessa at
whatever you want.
We got Odessa at New Mexico, New Jersey at Northeast, Fairbanks at Wisconsin, Anchorage at Janesville, Kenai over in Springfield, El Paso at Corpus, Springfield at Austin, Lone Star over in Shreveport, Colorado at Oklahoma, Bismarck against Aberdeen, Johnstown against Philly, Danbury over in New Hampshire, and Maryland at Rochester.
Saturday, Kenai River in Springfield, Odessa, New Mexico, Minnesota heading over to Chippewa, Fairbanks, Wisconsin again, New Jersey, Northeast, Anchorage at Janesville, El Paso finishes up their series at Corpus Christi, North Iowa comes to Austin instead of St. Cloud, Lone Star Shreveport in the place that retired Dan Wildfong's jersey as a player, Colorado visits Oklahoma, Bismarck, Aberdeen, Danbury, New Hampshire, Maryland, Rochester, and Johnstown, Philly is your slate on Saturday. No Sunday games this week, which is nice. Enjoy your week 3 football. All right, well, I think that is it for episode 1, season 2 of Short Shifts.
Woo! Did it. We got it. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll have hopefully some interviews lined up in the next couple of weeks, working on a few behind the scenes, but thanks again for tuning in. Again, don't forget, Vinny, your plug right here real quick for NAHL TV before we sign off.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you want to watch any North American Hockey League game, sign up for NAHL TV right now by going to NAHLTV.com. All the games stream there live or on demand, if you may. We got monthly subscriptions, yearly subscriptions, or if you just want to test out one game, you can do that too. Why not? Come watch some NHL hockey. It's going to look really great. A lot of home openers this weekend. Teams pulling out all the stops. I don't know if you've seen Rochester's home opener a couple weeks ago, but you got a nice little light show, a little smoke, a little fire. Ooh, not that bad. It's not bad.
Bringing that smoke. All right, that does it here. Episode 1 in the books. Thanks again for tuning in. Brandon, Vinny, catch you next time.